I am filming this video in the middle of a big thunderstorm and my electricity's been kind of flickering on and off, so hopefully I can get this video filmed before anything bad happens and I'm stuck without power. But yeah, as you saw in the intro, I once again picked SmackDown for the Raw vs. SmackDown scoring, and again, it's not even so much that SmackDown is significantly better, it's just that they benefit from the fact that they're only 2 hours. And one of my disappointments of the brand split so far is that Raw and SmackDown feel very similar. I mean, yeah, there are different wrestlers being featured, but it feels like the same kid is playing with 2 different sets of toys. Both shows don't really feel that vastly different from each other, aside from the wrestlers being featured. But SmackDown, like I said, they benefit from being shorter, and I feel like they try harder, if that makes any sense. Like, the Ambrose Ziggler thing should not be, like, that shouldn't be a hot match at all, but a few passionate promos from Ziggler has made it like, okay, that's, I mean, I care a little bit more now than I did before, so it feels like they're really trying to stand out a little bit more. Now, I could have done without John Cena giving the AA to AJ Styles to a table, but I'll talk about that more when I preview SummerSlam. I'm going to be previewing 3 big shows this weekend. Ring of Honor's Death Before Dishonor 14, NXT TakeOver Brooklyn 2, and of course SummerSlam 2016 from the WWE. Well, NXT is from the WWE as well, but you know what I mean. But yeah, starting off with Ring of Honor Death Before Dishonor, which is happening Friday night. I don't have too much to say about the card, because quite honestly, it's not that impressive of a card. There's a lot of New Japan guys making appearances, which is cool, and I like the New Japan talents. The problem is that Ring of Honor does it so frequently that it doesn't feel like it's that big of a deal, and the matches on paper aren't that remarkable. Like, Okada's coming in to face Dalton Castle, and like, nothing against Dalton Castle, but I look at that on paper and I think Okada's gonna kill him. You know? Silas Young is taking on Shibata. I'm like, oh, Shibata's gonna murder him. That's I just don't view those guys as being on the level of the New Japan guy that they're working with. There's also the Addictions taking on Naito and Elgin, I'm sorry, Naito and Evil, and Elgin and Tanahashi in a 3-way tag. There is, I think, is there any... Oh, there's also Jay Briscoe taking on Adam Page. That could be good. We got the Ring of Honor TV title, Mark Briscoe taking on the champion Bobby Fish. That could be solid. But yeah, overall, it's not exactly the most interesting card in the world. There's a 4-way for the for #1 contendership to the TV title. So yeah, not a terrible card or anything like that. It's just nothing that really jumps out at me as being that cool, except for the main event. I think the main event looks really flippin' sweet. Jay Lethal versus Adam Cole, and the reason it looks flippin' sweet is because they built it up extremely well on their TV show. It's got a lot of heat on it. They basically turned Jay Lethal face, and by putting Adam Page with the Bullet Club and having them go on a tear and ruining main events and doing all these other things, they built a lot of heat on Adam Cole. So yeah, the build-up's actually been pretty well done, and the whole bit with them shaving Lethal's head and, you know, Nigel forbidding Adam Cole to ever get a title shot ever again, so he goes to even more drastic measures to try and coerce Lethal into demanding that he defend the title against Adam Cole, and just all the little things that they did that made it a really fun build-up. And I'm really looking forward to the main event. I'm actually checking out this pay-per-view just to see the main event, so you know, it's happening Friday night, ROHWrestling.com. Check it out. Yeah, it's, like I said, I expect the main event to be really good. I wouldn't be surprised if Adam Cole won the title. I'm actually kind of expecting it. Lethal's been champion for over a year, and it's probably time for a change of pace. You know, make him the babyface and let him be the pursuer. And Adam Cole being with the Bullet Club adds a little bit more... you know, raises his stature significantly. So I think he'll probably walk out with the Ring of Honor World title. But from there, I move on to NXT TakeOver Brooklyn 2. Very strange card on paper because you really do get the sense that, wow, NXT's really lost a lot in terms of the guys that got drafted up to the main roster or to Raw and SmackDown. I mean, just looking at the women... you've got 2 women's matches on the card. You've got Bayley versus Asuka, which I think is going to be amazing. I think that's probably going to be the best match on the show. The match they had at TakeOver Dallas was incredible. I'm counting on Asuka retaining the title because I think Bayley's going to get moved up soon, but we shall see. But you also have Billie Kay facing the debuting Ember Moon. The reason I bring these two matches up is because if you look at the women's roster on NXT, I mean, they lost a good chunk of the girls to the draft. They lost Nia Jax, they lost Carmella, they lost Alexa Bliss. And those were the girls that we were all kind of waiting for to kind of be the next crop to kind of take over the NXT women's division and be the next group of stars after Sasha, Charlotte, and Becky all left. And before they could really get established at that top tier level, they all got drafted to the main show. And now you have all these girls that I really don't know who they are. I'm not saying they're untalented. There was actually a 6-woman tag on this week's NXT that was quite good. Carmella and Alexa Bliss captained the two teams. They came back, to NXT and captained the two teams. And the match was fine. So I don't think the girls are untalented. I'm just saying they're unestablished. So we're in this phase where the NXT women's division is kind of a blank slate right now. I mean, you've got Bayley and Asuka on the top. And excuse me. And everybody else is just kind of like I said, a blank slate. And that's exciting because you don't know what you're going to get exactly, but at the same time, I kind of wish they had maybe let the previous crop of girls kind of pass the torch a little bit to these new ones, which I think they were trying to do with the 6-woman tag with Carmella and Alexa Bliss. But, yeah, I mean, it's hopefully this new crop of girls works out. I imagine that Ember Moon is probably going to get a win. Hopefully she works out. Yeah, again, it's just really interesting that that's what's going on right now in NXT, because, like I said, they lost a lot of guys in the draft, and yeah, it is the developmental brand, so that's to be expected, but in any case, yeah, I covered the two women's matches. I think, I'll say it again, I think Bayley versus Asuka is going to be amazing. I think it could wind up being another one of those women's title show stealers. Like I said, their match at Dallas was spectacular, and now with all the added build-up put into the rematch, I think this one could possibly be just as good or maybe even better. So, again, we shall see. But, moving on from there, we've got two undercard matches. We've got Austin Aries versus No Way Jose, and we've got Bobby Roode making his NXT TakeOver debut, taking on, I keep forgetting the dude's name, Aldrin Cien Almas. I swear to God, I keep forgetting that dude's name. I think Bobby Roode could be a really good fit on NXT. I thought Austin Aries would be a really good fit, but unfortunately so far he hasn't really clicked. Hopefully this new heel turn and feud with No Way Jose will give him something. Part of me is kind of hoping that Roode and Aries team up and form the Dirty Heels in NXT. That'd be kind of cool, but yeah, I mean, I would expect Aries to win this match and Roode to win his match, naturally. I think both matches could be okay, and for Roode especially, I think it'll be a good match to establish him. And I'm hoping that No Way Jose and Aries are able to have this really kind of entertaining character clash type of match, with Aries being the cocky, athletic type that's more of a pure wrestler, and No Way Jose being the crazed kind of party monkey type of guy. So yeah, those matches could be interesting, but like I said, it's one of those things where NXT lost a lot in the draft, so they're just trying to find and establish new stars to fill those spots. A little surprised that Hideo Itami's not on this card. That's a little surprising. Are we ever going to find out who beat him up? That's another thing. They mentioned that it's believed that Kevin Owens did it, but Kevin Owens is on the main roster, so what story can you really do with that? I don't know. Maybe they'll make something of it at this show. Who knows? Maybe it was Samoa Joe who did it. I don't know. We'll find out. But moving on from there, we have the NXT Tag Team titles on the line. The Revival defending their titles against Johnny Gargano and Tommaso Ciampa, coming off their amazing match on the Cruiserweight Classic. From the first round. Actually, the second round's been pretty damn good, too. I just got done watching this week's show, and just a really stellar set of matches, I thought. I was very disappointed that Jack Gallagher lost, but We're getting to that point in the tournament where all the characters we like have been established, and it gets upsetting when they lose. So that's a sign that they're doing good work and making us care about these people. But Gargano and Ciampa are challenging for the tag titles. Wouldn't be surprised if they won. I am expecting this match to be very good. The Revival have been an amazing headpiece of the tag team division all year long. And I mean, their series of matches with American Alpha and Enzo and Cass were both great. And I expect this one to just be more of the same from them. And Ciampa and Gargano further establish themselves as a team in NXT, whether they win or lose. I expect nothing but good things out of this one. And here's hoping for another really, really good NXT tag title match. Because it's funny, when NXT first started with these TakeOver specials, the tag title match was kind of the filler. It wasn't really one of the bigger matches on the show. And now, ever since the Revival came on board, the tag matches have been kind of the big highlight of the NXT TakeOver specials. I mean, it was the best match at the last two, at least, I think. No, I mean, Dallas, I guess you could... No, yeah, Dallas, the best one was Zayn and Nakamura. But the tag team matches have gotten significantly better. And to the point that it's actually, more often than not, it's one of the better parts of the show, which is good to see. But we also have the main event. It'll be the NXT title match, I should say. Samoa Joe defending against Shinsuke Nakamura. I would think that Nakamura would win this. I don't know why. I just think that, they've built him up so much and they've had him on such a tear and they've had him go through everybody that it just seems logical to me that Nakamura would win the title. I could be wrong, but it depends on what they want to do with Joe and if they have any more challengers lined up for. Again, I've already mentioned Hideo Itami. I'm counting on Nakamura probably winning this. That's the one I would probably want anyway. But I think NXT TakeOver Brooklyn. I mean, the last year's Brooklyn show was amazing, so they've got a lot to live up to. I don't think it'll be quite as good as that one, but except for I expect the women's match to be very good, obviously. I think we can expect another exciting and good, very, very good NXT TakeOver special, which at this point is kind of like stating the obvious. I mean, all the NXT TakeOver specials have been good. And from there, we move on to SummerSlam 2016. And to be honest, looking at this card and all the big matches that they have lined up for this show, if NXT blows them out of the water again, I don't know what to say. I mean, I'm looking at this card on paper, and it should be at least a pretty good show, you would think, with some of the big matches they have lined up and everything. I mean, let's just jump right into it. We've got a pre-show match. It's the SmackDown Divas in a six-woman tag. Don't really care. I'm not digging what they're doing with Eva Marie right now. I just don't get it. She's a wrestler and her whole character is I don't want to wrestle, so she has to sneak and weasel her way out of it. And it's a cheap way to get heat. To me, it just doesn't. It's just dumb, and I'd rather just not have her on my TV if that's what they're going to do with her. But anyway, going on to the main card, we've got Cesaro versus Sheamus in the first match of a best-of-7 series. It's okay. I'll be honest, their matches that they've had on Raw lately have been, like I said, they've been okay. They haven't been anything to go out of your way to see, which pretty much sums up Sheamus' entire career. I mean, I keep hating to be a dick about Sheamus, but he's so inherently uninteresting, unless he's playing a rhinoceros. That's the only way. That's the only way I give a shit about him. But anyway, I would be okay with this if the idea was it was going to indicate who was going to get a title shot, or if they were trying to determine, all right, who's the better one of the two and who's going to get moved up the rankings when this is all said and done. I feel like Cesaro's already surpassed him, so I mean, he beat him twice, so I feel like, all right, we have a clear cut. Cesaro's in the lead. He's already better than Sheamus. He's the one who should be moving up. They're not really at the same level, but at least based on the booking that they've done already. But I think the match will be fine. No Cesaro matches. Truly, I mean, very rarely have there been any bad Cesaro matches, and more often than not, they're quite good. So he'll probably make something out of this. I think Sheamus will probably win the first one, just because, I mean, it could go either way, because it's a best of 7. You can do whatever the fuck you want. The first match almost doesn't really matter. I mean, yeah, it's I mean, they'll either have Sheamus go over just to even it out, to try and even it out with the matches that Cesaro's already won, or they'll have Cesaro continue his dominating ways and put Sheamus into, like, you know, back him into a corner and be like, oh my god, this guy's beaten me 3 times and I've gotten the best of 7 series off to a bad start. We're in trouble here. But yeah, there's that match. We also have the Women's Championship match. Sasha Banks defending against Charlotte. You know, they had a stellar match on Raw a few weeks ago. First Raw of the new Brain Split era. And I think that these two typically work very well together. I expect them to have another very, very strong match. I'm trying to think of what they'd want to do. I would probably keep the belt on Sasha at this point. Just let her run as champion and see what else you can get out of her. But I could also see them just putting the title right back on Charlotte, so they could go either way. For right now, I'll pick Sasha, but like I said, it could go either way. And I'm fine either way, to be perfectly honest, but I would say keep the belt on Sasha at this point. Moving on from there, we have 2 tag team matches, both of them for Raw. Raw has a much stronger presence on this pay-per-view than SmackDown does. It's really strange. But anyway, we've got Enzo and Cass taking on Kevin Owens and Chris Jericho, that random team of 2 guys that they had absolutely no idea what to do with them, so they just threw them together in a team and just had them feud with Enzo and Cass for no reason. It's a bunch of people who are over that they wanted to use, but they didn't know exactly how to do it, so they just threw them all together into this kind of random-ass match. But it'll be fun, though, because Enzo and Cass are fun, and Owens is fun, and Jericho can be fun when he's not... well, when he's not a babyface. I mean, when he's a face, he's terrible. But, you know, it's a tag match, so any of his physical limitations, I think, will be helped out by Owens doing more of the load. Carrying more of the load, I should say. But, yeah, this match will be fine. It'll be what it is. I would give the win to Enzo and Cass, since they're the actual tag team in this, and they want to keep them moving on up the tag team rankings, and move Jericho and Owens on to different things. I just, because like I said, them as a tag team just feels... Owens with any kind of partner, given his character, feels wrong, because he's such an asshole that, to me, it's like, how could anybody work with that guy? He's such a prick. But in any case, we have that match. The other tag match is for the Tag Team Championship. The New Day taking on the I almost said the crew. I've got Lucha Underground on the brain. The Club, Doc Gallows, Luke Gallows, I should say. Although he is a Doc, based on what they've been doing on Raw the last couple of weeks. And Carl Anderson. I really like the stuff that they did where they injured Big E and they actually did something to him that put him on the shelf for a few weeks, because A, it sells the importance of a beatdown and an injury, because so often the heels do these beatdowns and then the next week the babyface is completely fine, so who cares? There was no negative impact from it. Again, I keep going back to Savage and Ricky Steamboat in '87. It's like, you know, Savage attacked him, put him on the shelf for God knows how long, and put so much more heat on the feud when you did it. And doing this, it took away Big E, who's like the most powerful guy on the New Day, arguably the most usable, most, the toughest guy of the threesome, and the hardest obstacle to overcome in winning the tag team titles. And we also got a few entertaining bits out of it, too. So, all good things here. I think the Club are probably going to take the tag titles here, just to kind of reward them for how well they've done since they've started, and, put the belts on heels and see what you can do moving forward, and possibly even set up Enzo and Cass to, I talked about moving them up the tag team rankings, set them up to eventually challenge the Club and see if you want to run with them as tag team champions. So, again, plenty of options, but I'm pretty sure the Club are going to take the titles here. We've got both the IC and US titles on the line here. For the IC title, we have The Miz versus Apollo Crews. That's it. That's the match they're doing. I don't really have anything to say about it other than that. Apollo Crews is a magnificent athlete. Unfortunately, his character has not been defined well at all, so he's just kind of a blank slate. And that'll be troublesome if they start to push him in a more significant way. Like if they start giving him a Roman Reigns style push, the fans are going to turn on him because they have no reason to really like him outside of the fact that he's just a really good athlete. So hopefully they're able to come up with something to differentiate him and give him more of a personality and let him stand out more. Will he win the IC title? I really don't know. It's hard to say because this match is such an empty void that I really don't have much to say about it. I mean, because it is such an empty void, my temptation would be to just keep the belt on Miz, but we shall see. We also have Roman Reigns challenging Rusev for the U.S. title. They had a really, really, really pointless and long match on Raw this week in the main event that was non-title where Roman got the win over Rusev. And part of me thinks that they did that really, really long match on Raw because this match is going to be like 30 seconds long. And I would not be surprised if they did some kind of like shenanigans here to kind of get out of doing a real rematch. And I expect this match to be really short. This card does have 10 matches on it. So you're thinking, okay, something's going to have to be really short. It's probably going to be this match. And that's why they were given the really, really super long match on Raw, so that both guys probably don't feel too slighted. Roman Reigns has obviously been demoted to the U.S. title level. I don't know if that's punishment or just a realization that, oh, hey, he's not working as top face. Let's try something else. If Roman loses, that'll be very telling of what his place in the company is right now. But I'm counting on Roman Reigns winning the U.S. title, and this will be kind of a consolation prize. Like, well, the main event didn't work out for him, so here he is at the U.S. title level. Has that ever happened to a WrestleMania, a main eventer who won the WWE title at WrestleMania, and then by SummerSlam he's fighting for the mid-card belt? Has that ever happened? I can't think of a time where that... I mean, I've seen guys like Jericho lose the title, and then he's fighting for the IC title by SummerSlam. That happened in 2002. But I can't think of a case where a guy won the title in the main event of WrestleMania, and then by SummerSlam he's fighting for the second-tier title. I can't recall that ever happening. If it has, somebody feel free to post down below. Yeah, this will be very interesting to see what they do here. The build-up for this match has been garbage. It's been one of the most obnoxious parts of Raw. Roman comes off like an asshole. And they're trying to get heat on Rusev and Lana by bragging that they got married, and quite honestly, I don't give a shit. I was like, my first inclination is, oh, congratulations to them. I don't really care. It's like, yeah, but Rusev's this big fat, not fat, but he's like this big bear-looking guy, and he gets to fuck that really beautiful woman. I'm like, so good on him. I'm like, I really don't care. It's like, good for them. It's cool. I don't know why this has to be a storyline. But I was asking that same question last year when they did the whole fucking snafu with Ziggler and fucking Summer Rae and that whole nonsense. But speaking of Dolph Ziggler, that's a good thing to transition into. Dolph Ziggler will be challenging Dean Ambrose for the WWE Championship. Like I said, this is a match that had absolutely nothing going for it. They have done so little with Dolph Ziggler for so long that when he won the number one contendership, it was like, oh, we're supposed to care now? Oh, okay, cool. And that's no knock on Dolph. That's a knock on the way he's been booked, where they've beat him down for so long that it's impossible to get that invested in him. That said, like I said, through some passionate promos and some decent build-up for what they had, they've managed to make this match a little bit better than what it was before. I don't know if Ziggler's just trying, he realizes he has this opportunity now, and now he's like trying extra hard. I don't know what's going on, but yeah, this could be like, because on paper you would think the Raw title match would be much better, but the way they've been built up, I much prefer how the SmackDown match has been built up, except for what was done in the first week. But yeah, this could probably be the sleeper hit of the show. Turn out really well. So, anyway, I'm going to pick Ambrose to retain, unless they really want to go in a new direction and just, like, give it to Dolph and just let him roam free and do everything and be, like, a top-tier heel champion on SmackDown. That's a little bit too late, some might say. Because I remember I really liked Dolph in 2009 on SmackDown, and I thought he was going to be a top guy. And they flushed that down to hell. So I'm like, so you finally caught up to 2009. Good on you, boys. But in any case, we got the WWE title match. We also have the WWE Universal title match. I don't know if I'm ever going to get used to that name for the championship. But anyway, it's Seth Rollins taking on Finn Balor to determine the first Universal Champion. The way they got Finn into this spot was great. Like I said, the first Raw was very, very good, having that sort of mini tournament to establish Finn, make him a star, build him up, and just, introduce him to the main roster and to the fans of the main roster in a very powerful and impactful way. I thought all of that went very well. Since then, some of the promo segments have been lacking. I really didn't like that they revealed the Demon on Raw this week. I felt like that should have been saved for SummerSlam. Make it feel more special. They've done some cool video packages with Finn. I think they want to try and make him into like a new Undertaker, and he's a babyface, so that means he's not going to get jobbed out mercilessly like Bray Wyatt has been. But yeah, who wins this? This is probably the toughest call in the whole thing. Actually, a lot of the matches on here are tough calls, which is a good thing. It doesn't feel like a bunch of easy pick'ems. Again, it comes down to, do they want to be safe and go with the true and tried hand in Seth, or do they want to go in a new radical direction and go with Finn? My inclination is that they're going to go with Seth. That's what I'm thinking they're going to do. But like I said, they could very well go with Finn here, and I wouldn't be surprised. So yeah, they've got options at least. I wouldn't be upset with either one of those, and I expect the match to be very good. If nothing else, I think that's again, one of the advantages that Raw has over SmackDown is their roster, and they're able to create more interesting matchups overall, like Seth and Finn. Yeah, so we've got that. Then we've got two big grudge matches. AJ Styles versus John Cena. All I'm going to say here is, please, dear God and holy heaven, can AJ Styles please go over? You ended SmackDown with John Cena fucking AAing him through a goddamn table, which, of course, send the fans home happy and all that bullshit. For the love of God, can AJ Styles please just go over? Please, for the love of Christ, and then he can move on and challenge Dean or Ziggler or whoever else for the title and hopefully be the SmackDown champion by the end of the year. That'd be nice, but, maybe I'm asking too much. I don't know. Just pretty please. Pretty please. Cena doesn't need to get that win back. He already got the win back at Battleground. I know it was a tag match, but come on. Come on. Just let AJ go over. It's not that hard. Come on. Just do it. Just do it, man. And from there, we've got the big grudge match, which might be the closer. And that's one of the weird things about this pay-per-view. I don't know what match is going to be the closer. Is it going to be the Universal title match? Is it going to be AJ and Cena? I'm thinking it's either going to be the Universal title match or it's going to be Brock and Orton. It's going to be one of those two, with possibilities of Dean and Ziggler and AJ and Cena, although very remote chance, I'd say, in both of those cases. But yeah, we got Brock Lesnar and Randy Orton. It's interesting because it's never happened on a big stage before, and it's like, oh, finally, they're giving Brock some fresh matches. Because for the longest time, it was like him and Triple H in a bunch of rematches, and him and Cena again, and him and Taker. Just stop it. Him and Big Show again. It's like, fuck, just stop it. So yay, we're getting a fresh match here. I think there's a possibility that Orton could win this. Some people have already said that the finish is probably going to be countering the F5 into the RKO, which would look very, very cool. But with Brock Lesnar's recent scandal, testing positive for UFC drug test and really tainting his victory from his last UFC fight, there's a possibility that Orton could win this. Just to kind of, not sweep Brock under the rug, but start cashing in those chips. All right, they built in all that credibility into Brock, and now that his name is kind of attached to some scandals right now, which Orton was kind enough to reference at Battleground, although his hands aren't exactly clean either, so I don't know if he has room to be throwing stones. But yeah, I do think there's a remote possibility that Orton could win this. This is the first time in a while. This is the first time since he faced Reigns at WrestleMania that I felt like there was a possibility that Lesnar could lose. No, I guess you could say the Undertaker matches, but that was more me going, dear God, please don't let Undertaker go over him. That would be so stupid. Yeah, this match will be interesting just because we've never seen it before. Yeah, it could go either way. They could very well just put it on Brock. But like I said, it could a lot of the matches could go either way on this card. But SummerSlam, like I said, not a bad card on paper. Hopefully it's a good show. Battleground last month was very good. Hopefully they can follow it up with another really strong pay-per-view. And once we get into the brand exclusive pay-per-views, then we'll start seeing if Raw and SmackDown are able to sustain themselves and if the rosters are strong enough to hold their own at the pay-per-view level. So that is all I have for now. Like I said, bunch of big wrestling shows this weekend, so be sure to check them all out. But I'm peacing out for right now, so until then, see you later, everybody.